Good morning, everyone. No, it's afternoon. It is the 2nd of January 2021. I've no idea what day of the week it is. I think it might be Saturday. Yes, because I'm back to work on the 4th, which is Monday. It has been very hectic. We've been in a Christmas bubble and enjoying time with our granddaughter. So my daughter and my granddaughter and my son-in-law was here for the first couple of days, and he is finishing off his PhD, so he went back up to where they live in southeast London, and my daughter and granddaughter stayed on. So it's all been very hectic. It's just interesting how a completely different situation puts you in a completely different mindset. So before Christmas and before everybody arrived, I was just feeling overwhelmed with everything, and in one way is even more overwhelming, but I'm just wondering whether just having to be very active actually creates a bit of momentum. I'm slightly worried that with everything being so full on, that when everything goes back to normal, when they all go home and I'm back to work, that I suddenly have a crash. But that doesn't need to happen. So I can now be, as I'm thinking about it, strategize against it. That's what I think. So I think I'm going to utilize this kind of being galvanized into like loads of activity to maintain that kind of momentum, but channel it into all the things that I need to get done. It's very busy here. I'm in Sainsbury's car park. Hilary's doing some shopping before she goes back up to southeast London. I'm going to give her a lift after lunch, and she said she's going to be another 15 minutes. So I thought, right, let's get my thoughts down about the coming year. In lots of ways, I feel like we've got these plans that we need to get going to, prepare for our retirement and, have a 5-year plan. And we really need to start doing that now before we get too old and don't have the energy. Maybe we'll just have loads of energy for years to come, but I'm just thinking, just in case it just feels like it's too much, let's get it done now. Like if we want to move house or we want to renovate our property a bit. I think probably just because everything is like been super busy, I'm kind of thinking, how could we possibly think about moving? But it's just a question of planning it, just thinking, right, what are the steps to achieve this? And we just really do need to simplify, particularly our stuff. We really need to declutter, and we need to do things and have things and surround ourselves, create our environment with what we've chosen and not allow it to be a default. I think that's what I'm feeling most of all, that we need to make our lives a lot more intentional. A lot of things that I've seen online and then researched have made me wonder whether both Ben and I have ADHD. I've always kind of said we are very project orientated people and not so good at the kind of day-to-day regular processes for keeping things under control. And I'm wondering whether that is an ADHD thing. And then before I went for proper therapy, I did go and have a session with a counsellor, and it was kind of a favour. So somebody I knew said that they had this mentor, and I don't know whether they paid for the session, but anyway, I had a session with this one person a very long time ago, probably 2007, and I was just kind of struggling with quite a few things, and I had this session with this person, and it was good, but one of the things that she said made me feel not very positive, and it was, why do you feel you need to achieve all the time? And now that I've been for therapy, I know that when therapists ask something like that, they don't mean that it's wrong, you know, like, why do you feel that? They just like want you to articulate why that's important to you. But now I'm wondering whether she picked up that maybe I had a bit of an ADHD thing going on, because I think that's one of the things, is that you feel like you're a failure unless you've achieved certain things. And I know with Ben, he's got to have a do-it list and he's got to tick things off before he can feel okay. Whereas other people seem to be wired so that if they just do the day-to-day routine things, they feel they've achieved. Whereas Ben and I both kind of feel that it's more about a creativity thing and a body of work where you need to have a body of work to show for it. So yeah, let me know in the comments if that rings a bell with anybody, and if there are any experts out there that actually know what the different elements of an ADHD condition have, or whether we're just creative types. So in some ways I kind of am feeling a bit of fear and trepidation about things going back to normal. They're not going back to normal because we're in the middle of a pandemic and everything's locked down, but in terms of being back at work, working from home, and because everything that I have on my do-it list has gone on hold because of Christmas, and now I need to get back to my do-it list, my kind of personal strategic plan, and my work one as well. And that's what I was feeling overwhelmed about before Christmas, and feeling like I wasn't getting anything achieved at all. And I really haven't achieved anything, but I was supposed to be off work anyway. I was kind of on call, and I did have to log on every day and sort out a thing that wasn't working quite correctly, something that we'd automated for archiving some reports. So I was having to check that every day and fix different things. So that wasn't too taxing, that was fine. And I just really want to go back into, or start this new year, not feeling overwhelmed and not feeling like my mental health is really struggling with all that I've got on. I want to be able to be realistic about what I should set as targets, so that I don't feel like I'm a failure. And on our status report, so it doesn't look like I'm a complete failure, and just to be able to get my dad's estate sorted out as well. I've got a feeling that the estate agents that looked at our kind of video tour of the house didn't kind of really realise what kind of condition the house is in, and have overvalued it. But maybe we can then go back to the Inland Revenue and get some of the inheritance tax back. I don't know, I just can't see us being able to sell it for what we submitted as the valuation of the property. But anyway, cross that bridge when we come to it. There's a lot to sort out. So yeah, so I'm thinking about all that, and I guess it would be quite good to actually articulate specific goals for this year, and maybe have a look back at what has been achieved in the last year, even though it's been a very weird year. There have been things that you can kind of say, this is what happened, this is what was achieved. So I think I'll formalise that before I actually put it in a video. So I think this is going to be a 2-part video. Me just doing a stream of consciousness while I'm waiting in Sainsbury's car park, and then I'll jot some things down on paper about what I saw happen, what were kind of achievements or whatever for 2020, and life events. So a lot of life events happened in 2020, and what I'm hoping for in 2021. Talk to you in a minute. Right, well, it's nearly a month later. It is the 6th of February and finally got round to editing and doing some more footage. I've been taking lots of footage, it's very disjointed, so I started editing and I thought, right, I'll do a follow-on chatty bit from the bit you've just watched. I've just had some aligners fitted on Thursday. You have to take them out to have snacks and things, and I don't usually sound this lispy, which is ridiculous that I'm now doing a vlog. But when I put them back in, they don't seem to have gone in straight. Anyway, I'll keep pushing through. So, although my chair's a bit creaky, although I said I was going to do, what goals we managed to achieve in 2020 and life events and what I was going to hope for in 2021, I've made some notes and I didn't really think about that when I made the notes. But I have jotted down things that were achieved in 2020. They do include life events and then just kind of like how I'm trying to grapple with planning for the future. So here we go. Caring for my dad was a big thing at the beginning of the year. I said before in a vlog that we had my dad come to live with us. He had got really weak and we had him come to live with us, and then he actually developed pneumonia as well, but he recovered from that and he was doing really well. He was able to walk around with a frame or a three-wheeled kind of trolley thing, and I would lay his breakfast out for him. He could get himself up and dressed, and I'd leave stuff for him to heat up in the microwave for lunch, and then I'd cook for him when I got home. I would also leave stuff for him in case he wanted to eat earlier, but he usually waited for us so he could eat with the family, so that was nice. But then we had a get together for his 90th birthday, and we had all the family around, and I think that really exhausted him, and he became a lot weaker after that, and he started to struggle a bit more. And just before Christmas, he said to me, could we replace the wheelchair? So one of the things I used to have to help him with was going to the shower. So I'd turn the shower on and the heater on in the conservatory, and I would take him in the wheelchair, and he would be able to get from the wheelchair into the shower, and then I'd wheel him back when he called me. So he had a wheelchair, but most of the time he could get around with this three-wheel kind of trolley thing. But then he was really struggling with that, and so he said to me one day, could we go and exchange the wheelchair that we had for one that you could propel yourself? So we did that, and he managed for quite a bit doing that as well. And then we had Christmas 2019, and all the family came over. I think it was because, everybody knew it was probably my dad's last Christmas. So everybody except for Raya, I think. So Raya was having Christmas with her parents in New York, but Louis came over and he stayed for a couple of weeks. And again, that just like really exhausted my dad, really took it out of my dad, and he got even weaker. And at that point, we then thought, right, now we need to get care at home for him. So I think what I'm saying is the achievement that I feel in all that is that we managed to, care for my dad in his final weeks and do that end of life care thing, and, really just make him as comfortable as possible. And we got carers coming in to the house, and then we had the lockdown, and that was so well timed because that was really my dad's last 2 or 3 weeks, and I was here all the time, 24/7, so I was really able to give him a good ending. So that was one achievement. At work, there was a big project. When I started that job, not very long into it, I was asked to be the point person for this big new system being installed. So there's a technology team at head office, and they were rolling out this system around the globe, and it was the turn for London, and I had to liaise with the stakeholders and the development team at head office, etc. So that was quite long and drawn out, but that finally went live in February 2020. So can't cope with these aligners. Let me know in the comments below if you've had these. It's Invisalign, and yeah, I've had to like file down the sharp bits, and I've had to get some orthodontic wax to cover up the bits that I can't seem to file down anymore, and I've got an ulcer, so I had to go and get some Bonjela, and I don't know what's happened to this aligner here. I might have to just like have a little tweak of it to get it to fit properly. I'll edit this bit out. Oh dear. Yeah, and they're having to take them out to eat, and you're supposed to wear them for 22 hours as well. Luckily, the program that I'm on is only 15 weeks, because really it's only to address this one tooth here. So I was really worried, probably my sourdough. It's so like tough, probably shifted my tooth, but it really shifted a lot, and I was really worried about it because it felt quite loose. And so I went to the dentist, and that's what she recommended. So that's what I'm having. I'm having 15 weeks of Invisalign aligners, and yeah, it's at the beginning, it's very hard. You can't drink tea and coffee, you can only drink water. That's a whole other story. Anyway, so that was that, the project at work that went live in February. And also I've managed to really build my team at work. I managed to convert a contractor to permanent. He's a really like key member of the team, and I've got another contractor in and another permanent member of staff, and we're working really well as a team. So that's a big achievement as well, to really feel like our team is well kind of fused and working well together. So that's cool. What else? Sourdough bread. I've told this story before, I think in my very first vlog after this big long 4-year breakup, whatever it is. So it started with team meetings on a Monday morning, and 2 of the guys making sourdough bread and talking about how their bread was and putting pictures on Facebook, and you know, you couldn't really join in the conversation, so I thought, okay, I'm just gonna have to start making sourdough bread. So now they won't talk about it now because I've mastered it. And I'm not really very competitive. I'm just doing it for the fun, and you know, it's nice and creative. I think they're really competitive, so they don't really like the fact that I've kind of got it nailed. But part of the enjoyment, and again I might have said this in another vlog, is when I was at sixth form I used to do pottery, and it was really great, you know, shaping your teapots or mugs or whatever it was you were making and decorating them, and then seeing how it turned out after it was fired, particularly after the glaze firing. So you do your initial biscuit firing, it was called, and then you decorate it with glaze and then do another firing, and you never knew how it was going to turn out. So yeah, super fun. And the only thing about pottery was you just had to have all these mugs and vases and teapots and jugs that you didn't know what to do with. And especially now that I'm sorting out my parents' house, I keep coming across these little pots that I made when I was a teenager. But with the bread, of course, you can eat it. So that's really fun, and it's yummy. So sourdough, that was an achievement of 2020. And I bought a new car. Again, I've said this in another vlog, but it was really important for me, because the achievement part of it was I overcame my natural tendency just to kind of accept things when people go, oh, we don't need a new car, this one will last us a few years. And you think, no, I want a car that I've chosen and I've worked hard for the money, I've saved up, and this is the car I want. So I felt really a sense of achievement, but I pushed through and got the car that I want. I think it was quite an achievement to go on holiday in that window that we had between the first lockdown and the second lockdown, and it was quite safe because we drove in my car and we camped. And when we went to the south of France, the social distancing and all the measures that the hotels had, not the hotels, the restaurants had, was really, really good. You know, you wore masks all the time. They didn't give you a menu. They put a plastic menu up so you could see it. Nobody else touched it. It was, you know, very good, very well managed. And it was a very important time for us because it was a complete break from work. It was a break from, you know, the fact that my dad had died, you know, just going somewhere completely different. It was a really good time of investment for our marriage. So Darcy had moved in with us. We had a month between when my dad died and when Darcy moved in, but that month was more to recover from my dad's death rather than investment in our marriage. And it's lovely having Darcy with us, but it was really important for us to just be the two of us. And it's such a lovely place, and you're so relaxed there because we've been on holidays so many times before there, so very familiar with it, and it's just a lot more relaxing because you know the place. I've done a whole series of videos before, vlogs from 2015. I don't think I put them in a playlist, but they're all South of France 2015 as part of the title. I should put them in a playlist and I'll link it below or here or whatever. One of the things that Darcy wanted to do was redecorate our conservatory and shower room, and because it was a bit shabby anyway, we thought it'd be good to give her that opportunity because she was missing out on the kind of homemaking thing because she'd had to move out of her flat, you know, just have free reign and express herself. So I think that was a really good move, and now we've got a redecorated conservatory and shower room, so that's an achievement. So gardening, my dad's garden, I wouldn't really say I'd made a massive achievement in terms of gardening, but keeping his lawn nice and healthy, I think I achieved that. And doing gardening really made me think, yeah, I really want to have a garden and, you know, want to, you know, learn how to plant things, grow things, prune at the right time, when to plant things, when to put seeds in, when to put bulbs in, you know, how to landscape. And I feel like I'm missing out on that here with our back garden completely decked. So yeah, that's one of the things that's made me think, yeah, it would be good to move to somewhere where there is a garden. I'd really enjoy that. And also, I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but I would quite like my mum's piano, and we would have to move to a detached place if we were going to have the piano. But that's another thing. I had booked in a few more piano lessons this year. I haven't booked one for a while. I think I have to pay for them up front, and I think I'm still owed a few, but I just haven't got around to booking it. But I've been practicing a lot more because I'm working from home and my keyboard is over there by the window. Curtains are shut at the moment so you can't see it. But yeah, when I'm working at my desk, when I have a little break, I just go and have a little tinkle for 10 minutes, and yeah, I'm keeping up my piano skills, so that's an achievement too. And then of course starting YouTube again. I almost forgot about that. That is a major achievement, isn't it, to have a break for 4 years and then start again. So yeah, and it took me a while to get going again after Christmas, but here we are, I'm doing it. I've also started my coaching sessions again. I was having a kind of like 6-monthly update with my coach before I started this full-time job. I was having regular sessions because I wanted to try and get my life on track, try and get my finances sorted out, and try and sort out getting regular work. So yeah, that achieved that goal. I ended up getting a permanent job, really good job, really enjoying it still. But with my dad passing away, having to wind up his estate, thinking about, you know, building for the future, for our retirement, maybe moving or renovating this house, I just thought it's going to be really important to try and stay on track by having regular coaching sessions. So I've committed to once a month. So every month I have a check-in with him. That's really helpful. It helps me create strategies, etc., and stay on track. And one of the things that I've realised is that at work we've got like a 3-pillar system. So we have processes that we regularly do, our business as usual, BAU, and we actually have to write procedures documents for those things that are our regular things that we do. They have to be refreshed every year. So what I've done is I've kind of translated that to home life as well. So that would be like the kind of regular things that you do to stay on top of stuff, or standard operating procedures, as my dad would say, because you know he's an army man. Yeah, just the regular stuff, keeping on top of the housework, the shopping, cooking, laundry, all those kind of things, filing, finances, all these kind of standard things, just having regular routines and processes in place. And the second pillar is projects. So at work, we've obviously got project plans, so you have a very clear end date, there are milestones, there are tasks that work up to each milestone, there's a critical path, and then it's the same for home stuff. So obviously my dad's probate and winding up the estate, that's very like that. There is an end point, maybe you don't know what the end date is, but there is an end point, there are milestones, there are tasks, things that have to be done, a critical path, some things have got to happen before other things can happen, etc. And it would be the same for whether we move house or renovate the house. So I think probably what we'll have to do is scenario planning, like do a project plan for it, which way we go, like one for each, because yeah, there's going to be a critical path to a certain point for either. So anyway, projects. And then the third pillar is issues log. So that's something that has been really key, that I've been able to bring from work to home. And you're probably thinking, of course, who doesn't have an issues log? Well, we never did. It all got kind of mixed in with a do it list in general, and the do it list would have like things that are for projects and things that are for regular stuff all mixed in. But separating out into these 3 kind of pillars makes an enormous difference. So like the boiler breaks down, what do we need to do? We need to call the British Gas engineer, because we've got British Gas Home Care. And then who's going to do that? When are they going to do that? What is the outcome? Or the roof is leaking, who's going to sort it out? Ben's going to fix it. When is he going to do it? What is the outcome? Next time it rains, see if it's still leaking, that kind of thing. Another one that he is actioning, because we put it on the issues log, is about 30 years ago, he said he was going to make a kitchen table out of some teak. So, you know, our worktops in the kitchen are teak. And the desk that we're using as a central island, it has a teak top as well. Well, he's got more teak, that he built a shed to store it in, but he hasn't built the table yet. So you might think that's a project, but it's an issue because it's been hanging around for 30 years, that particular thing. it's become an issue. So that one on the issues log, and he's actually making it. So that'll be good when that happens. He's turned all the legs and he's shown me the design and everything. So yeah, so that's cool. But something I was talking to my coach about the other day was a fourth pillar that I kind of think I need to have in my way of managing life. And that's kind of like challenges or quests or missions or whatever you like to call it. But it's like something where there isn't an end date for a goal. A good example would be this thing that I've been trying to tackle to do with avoidance. So I might kind of realise, this is a challenge that I have in my life, and kind of have strategies for it. But then something might happen, there might be a curveball that makes me think, I've got to change my strategy. So it's a bit more of a kind of like an unknown. I think I was kind of realising that I have had this way of thinking to tackle things when I was watching like a spy thriller thing. I know it sounds mad, but you can really apply it to a lot of things, you know, things that are challenging. You don't know, it might be kind of family dynamics or something that are very challenging, and you have a strategy to manage it, and then something else happens and you think, I've got to change the strategy. Or you might be involved in some kind of like campaigning for something. So you can't ever kind of set the end goal and have like tasks that lead up to milestones and that kind of thing. It's more about strategy and, you know, kind of battling things until you win the battle. So yeah, a fourth pillar. Anyway, I think I've been rambling on enough now. So I think future vlogs are going to be tracking these 4 pillars and, you know, tracking my progress in them. And I'd better get this edited and uploaded then, hadn't I? Right, see you next time.